Hi Abe, today is Wednesday, the 8th of April. So I've been reading Game of Thrones. I finished the first book and I am now midway-ish through the second book, Clash of Kings. And that's the Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin. You probably have heard of them because they're being turned into a TV show currently. And they're really good. I wanted to sort of offer my opinion on them. So first of all, I will say they're really good, and I'm going to talk to you about what's good about them in just a moment, but we're going to start with the bad and the ugly. The books are really very sexual, and most of the time it's done in a very realistic manner, and people's sexual desires push forward the plot and give insight into the character that we might not otherwise have beyond. But every so often there's not usually a scene, but just like a sentence that's just like unnecessarily sexual. Like, okay, so there's a character who's pregnant, and there's one sentence that feels the need to specify that her growing belly is beneath her breasts. I know how human anatomy works. Like, I got that figured out. The stomach is there. That happens a couple of times, and I think that's my biggest quarrel in the book, was just like, why? If you don't like massive character death, don't read this book, because, like, all the good characters die. But I really like character death. Just kill them all. The other thing that people might not like is the language. It's written very old-timey-ish, Lord of the Rings-y, but it's a lot easier than Lord of the Rings because it doesn't use quite as many words for landforms that you've never heard of before. If you're the sort of person who likes to have the story and not even notice the prose, then you are also reading the wrong book. That said, my overall opinion of these books is very high. I really like them. The characters are all super compelling even when they're gross. Everybody is complicated, everybody is interesting, and the story is fairly interesting too. I have to admit, I am less invested in the story than I am in the characters. I have sort of found myself most connected to and most similar to one of the more disliked characters, Sansa Stark. Sansa, if you haven't read the book, stands in stark contrast with her younger sister Arya, who's this little warrior woman. She's like 9 or something. They're all disturbingly young. That's another thing. There is just a lot of children doing terrible things and having terrible things done to them. If you read The Hunger Games, you're probably chill. But Sansa is a young lady, and when we're introduced to her, she loves stories. She has a lot of faith in stories and that everything will turn out right the way they do in stories, and in justice, and in the dichotomy of good and evil. And she wants very much to be sophisticated and mature and respected and a lady. And that could absolutely be a description of me as a child. So I identify very strongly with Sansa, and a lot of people don't like her because she, especially compared to Arya, is weak. She doesn't fight the system very much. She's a bit naive. But honestly, she grew up with the Starks, all of whom are seemingly fundamentally good. And why would she know any better? She hasn't been exposed to evil until all of a sudden everything is terrible. So I'm very interested to see in this book how she grows as a character. I love Daenerys, of course. I knew I was going to love Dany. She's so great. Oh my gosh. I like Jon Snow much more than I thought I would. I didn't know much about him going in, but he's really cool. Tyrion Lannister is amazing. I haven't gotten far enough in this book to reconnect with the Knight of Flowers, Loras Tyrell. He was in the previous book, and he's very intriguing. I just kind of like the concept of a Knight of Flowers. It's just such a nice title, isn't it? Oh my gosh. It's the best title. I want to be the Knight of Flowers. I like him entirely because of that. I have no idea if he's a good person yet. And the other characters, even though I'm not maybe as attached to them, I still enjoy reading about mostly. So that is what has been in my brain with regards to the books I'm reading, at the very least. I'll see you on Saturday, Abe. Goodbye.